All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Star Wars Mark of Balance. My name is Mark, and today we are back with Star Wars story interviews. I know, your favorites. And we're here with a first-class human being, a great friend, Mr. Cole Devlin.
Cheers,
How
brother.
you doing, sir?
I'm phenomenal. Happy to be here.
Yes, we are getting after it in the studio, in Star Wars and in liquid courage.
Gotta have it. Gotta have it.
Cole, Star Wars.
Star
I
Wars.
feel like you've always been there to talk Star Wars, but I feel like you're kind of closeted.
Yeah.
I feel like you're not out there as
Yeah,
much
no,
with the Star
it's
Wars.
hard for me to be as vibrant about my love for Star Wars. It was honestly for me, I've never had the following that you had with Star Wars. Star Wars was never like something you talked about in school all the time. It was never the topic of conversation that you had with your boys. I was never, hiding of it. I was never introverted about it, but I never walked into class and I was like, dude, Clone Wars, am I right?
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. Yeah, but you always hit with the knowledge, though. That's the thing. Like, anyone brings up anything, some deep, dark lore or something, Cole's like, yeah, I have an opinion on that. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah, well, for me, it's with anything, like, whenever we talk superheroes, DC, Marvel, Star Wars, I've always been comics. I'm comics over anything. So whenever I get that chance, there's a lot of topics of conversation that come up that are involved in comics that people don't even know about. It's just the highlight of, like, the book of so-and-so, where you're like, oh, there's actually a deeper context to that. Sometimes I'm out of context. I have no idea what this context is, and someone's like, oh, well, that actually doesn't make sense. I'm like, noted.
Just enough information to be dangerous.
I like to be involved. I like to be involved, not the center.
Right.
That's it.
That's a good way to put it. All right, so Cole, we've done the little introduction.
Sir.
Let's get into where it all started. Where was the start for Star Wars love? What was that first memory? If you don't know the first memory, what was the first piece of Star Wars that you were like, yeah, this is going to be something I'm really into?
So the first thing that introduced me to Star Wars, my dad always tried to like introduce it to me, but I was always like, Star Wars, Star Trek, nerds, I'm out. So it's funny, Star Wars, when Revenge of the Sith came out, 2005, it was the same day my dad had taken me to the movies to go see like whatever Batman movie came out that day, right? Pull you from school, super, not parental-esque, whatever.
Yes.
And, he would take me, we'd get popcorn. It was just like our thing, right? Whenever a new movie came out. And Star Wars had been premiering at the AMC in Freehold. And he was like, dude, you want to go see Star Wars? My dad's like, it's the first piece of Star Wars art that he's seen since the original trilogy. Hasn't seen one, hasn't seen two.
So
he just saw Star Wars in the movie theater and he lost his mind. He's like, you want to go see Star Wars? And I looked at him, I was like, no. And the man looked so defeated. Like, he was like, I failed. I can't believe that he didn't want to see primetime Star Wars in the movies. Yeah. And then literally 2 weeks later, I watched it, and I was like, I had watched, the original trilogy, and I was like, this is sick. And then I binged, 1 through 6.
Yeah. And you came back to him, and you're like, let's go see it.
I was like, so pop. and I was like, all right, let's go try it. Him not knowing that I'd already seen 3. And he was like, so he was all excited and stuff like that. So me being, a little snot of a kid, I was like, Dad, I think this is gonna happen, and I would like call things before it happened.
You're just the worst.
And then he was like, you saw that, right? You literally went to go see it last week, and I was like, yes. You enjoy your time? It was a good time. So that was my introduction to the Star Wars realm, I guess you would say.
That's kind of hilarious that he just speed ran the whole saga. He's just like 4, 5, 6, and then he's like, I don't need teenage Anakin going right to the turn.
I think he never really got involved, because obviously, they came out like, it was like 99, 2001, 1 and 2, something like that. So he wasn't like super intrigued to go see it again, because they came out when our dads were kids and stuff like that. So I think him just seeing it in the theaters, he got that nostalgia. He got that like kind of like, oh my God, I could see Star Wars in theaters, like legit first raw reaction, like, And it wouldn't have been a bad one to get him back, back in the saddle.
That would definitely get you excited.
If he would have gone in there and like maybe seen Attack of the Clones, he'd probably be like, oh my God,
I haven't been missing a thing. Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned comics. Was that also that also play a big role in the connection to it?
Yeah. So I think the first comic that I read for Star Wars was probably mildly recently. It was more towards high school, but it was when they started doing the Darth Vader comics, and it was like now they have the Darth Vader 52s and 54s and stuff like that, where it tells a set story. It's like 6 comic books.
Is 52 and 54 like a comic term that I should know?
It's like 52 and 54 the way I interpret it, and it's probably wrong. So take it out of context. I see them as like a different, not storyline for Darth Vader, but like 52 tells a story about how he's still hunting Jedi.
Okay.
Fresh after Order 66.
Right.
And 54, like the numericals don't count like where they fall in order. Whereas 54 is like days before he fights Obi-Wan for the second time ever.
Oh, okay,
so it's like it's just when they find the content to create it, that's the numericals I guess they go in. So I don't know where the numbers come from before it, but it's just like different storylines.
Gotcha. Cool.
So
that Darth Vader comic was the first one in high school.
So the first one for high school for me was a Darth Vader comic where he's hunting Jedi and stuff like that, and he comes across this young woman who resembles Padme identically.
Really?
So you could tell, right after Order 66, Hot Boy Anakin is like, he's like, dude, I got it.
Rebounds.
Yeah. So he's like, who are you? And he's looking at her like, you're not Padme, and she's claiming to be Padme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's weird. So now he's all hot and bothered and stuff like that. So as the comics progress and stuff like that, you later find out that it was one of her doppelgangers.
Oh,
fresh after. And she's leading what would have been like the first resistance or whatever it is, trying to find the Jedi themselves, and that's how they collided. That's how they both got the same lead, and I think this is where it was left up to the viewer. I think they were set up to meet. Someone was hopefully trying to get Vader's goat, essentially, trying to get him, because it was so fresh after her death and stuff like that. Kids had just been born. Someone was trying to get him rattled to either turn him or get him vulnerable to kill him.
Right.
That's my perception. That's not ever stated, but that's what I think it was, because you see, it was called and this isn't said by the author either. They call it blue moments, where they show signs of Anakin and Vader.
Oh, okay.
Blue moments.
Yeah.
And they called out one of the biggest blue moments ever, because he was like, I have Padme back. What do I need to do this for anymore? He was literally about to give it all up, essentially. And then he finds out it's not her, and you can imagine the rage takes over and stuff like that, and that small resistance no longer exists.
That's such a cool idea, especially with the doppelgangers, because it makes so much sense.
Yeah, so I saw that depth in I think it was 3 comics long, 3 books, 12 pages each, front and back, scenes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm hooked. I need to find more stories, because the universe, you never realize how huge it is. You have the old Knights of the Old Republic all the way to Star Wars now, and then you've got different lures and shit like that. It's it's crazy. So that really enticed me to want to dive deeper than the surface of 6 movies at the time.
Right. No.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, I always like hearing people's stories. That's why I do this series of interviews, because it's always different. I know some people are introduced through the movies themselves through their parents. Some people just kind of figure it out on their own. And comics, no one's really come on and talked about comics, so it's cool that we found someone who's in that area, which is awesome. I want to get into the comics, but
they're so good.
I don't know if I want to do physical, or because I know you can do subscriptions online and you get all the copies online. I'm not sure which way I want to go.
I would recommend so for me, I always recommend to people who are trying to get involved in the comics, start with Vader comics. They're the most enticing, and most of the stories start fresh after Order 66. You see some names in the comics from Jedi That Survived and stuff like that, where they kind of served a role in the prequels that you didn't realize.
Yeah.
And it's you kind of build a little bit of a character arc with them, and then obviously it ends either abruptly or you just never hear from them again. Okay. I always like to hear about the Jedi that survived, Order 66. That's my favorite, all enticement of Star Wars. So that, and you could find those comics online. You could look them up, and you'll get the snippets that you need. It trims the fat, no filler, and that will give you kind of the direction you want to go in. I do them online. I've read physical comics before, which I should have brought. I had some.
That's
my bad.
Right.
But it is cool when you do get to have it in hand, and you can't turn the page fast enough. And you can, swiping on the phone, it just doesn't.
No matter
how
hard you swipe,
you can't aggressively swipe, man. But you could, that fap that you get from turning a page, it's empowering. Vader comics is what I would recommend to anyone trying to get involved. That's my take.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. You can swipe pretty hard, but it might not be for comic pages.
And plead the fifth.
Right. So you did, before I move on to the next topic, you did mention the idea of Jedi surviving Order 66. So Fallen Order, that must have been a game from heaven for you.
Oh my God, Fallen Order! I'm so glad we got on this topic. Fallen Order is my all-time favorite. And obviously you have the
Classics.
the draw of the classics,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
And Battlefronts and stuff like that. Anyone who chooses to play the old Battlefront now is no one's enjoying it. Like, yes, it's cool, we enjoyed
not
it.
the same.
You put Battlefront on right now, 2 minutes max it lasts.
Yeah.
You're gonna hope it didn't work. Dude, Fallen Order to me is the gameplay, the skill, and just the development of the characters and stuff like that. And you're seeing he's a nobody. Who knew who Cal was before this game came out?
Yeah.
And just how you get so connected to him and his journey and stuff like that, and how they touch on the events of Order 66 and how he came to the spot where he's at. I got very Rebel vibes from it.
Yeah.
How it was just off to the side and then he slowly picks it back up.
Yeah.
It was cool. To me, it was what I expected from Rebels. Because when I first watched Rebels, I was a little, not like disappointed. But it wasn't Clone Wars.
It wasn't the same, yeah.
But, and then Fallen Order came out, and Fallen Order 2 is aside from Kenobi, is my most anticipated project coming out.
That's smart. Yeah, I think you touched on a couple good things there. I mean, I definitely got the Kanan vibes from him, like 100%. The same exact kind of feeling, and I'm sure they drew from that.
Yeah.
But I would agree. The characters that they introduced, all new characters. I mean, they didn't do any... they were like, no fan service. They weren't like, oh, here's Ahsoka, here's this, here's that. They were just like, nope, you're getting all new characters, and all of them worked.
And it's so funny. Well. It's so funny that you say fan service, because I say that's the only thing that's carried this franchise this far, is I'm throwing in just a little bit of fan service here to keep like the diehards watching, or people who haven't watched Star Wars, so they don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
The fan service to me to save a movie is such a cop-out, where it's just like, even a video game, but like you said, it was so good on its own, naturally, and it was just how you developed that bond with the characters and stuff like that, how the plot developed, it was really cool.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how well of a Star Wars story they told, and the Order 66 level.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my god,
did that not just like make you melt into Dude, whatever you were sitting in?
It was so awesome too, because you see Cal, and he's going through this training and stuff like that, and you can just see when he looks at his master and the emotion on it, like you felt it, you know what I mean? And obviously that story was never told cinematically, so we didn't know how it ended technically. Maybe his master gets out and they whatever, but you could use context clues, what's going to happen. But the way he's just going through and he's bodying these clones, it's to me, I'm like, dude, nailed it. And then you get the perception of Cal, you're frightened and stuff like that, and he's digging through all these vents and these backward areas, which was also very cool and developed, which I liked a lot. I felt it was very realistic. But that Order 66 scene, it's like, to me, I was thinking about everything that was going on at the same time as that. Like, they got that Order 66 call, and it went right through my head, and I'm like, damn, who else? Like, what else was going on? Who else was in, that temple or that training facility and stuff like that? Or who died, who didn't make it out. It was crazy. That was an awesome scene. That was a very powerful scene.
That was literally my, I obviously wanted a great game, but I was like, I need an Order 66 flashback. And the second it was doing the flashbacks, I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, we're going to get it. And I'm like, I'm not going to ask for too much here, but please just play the music that they played in the movie. I'm like, I don't know if I'll get it. And then he starts running, and it starts playing. I'm like, they're doing it.
Listen,
oh my god!
Any Star Wars fan, new or old, will tell you, as soon as that music plays, no matter what you're watching or what you're playing, you know how it's gonna end. But something in the back of your mind's like, maybe I got the unedited version where everyone lives. Like, you're hoping that something pulls out, and your heart breaks every single time you rewatch it. You relive it.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order 2. I think what you said there, being the most anticipated project, I definitely agree. What is your Let's say, what are your top two things you want to see from Jedi Fallen Order 2? Either improvements to the gameplay or story.
Okay. I want to see, so obviously, at the end of Fallen Order 1, they gave you a pretty good perception of, like, how they were going to go on. It's pretty like them going through the galaxy, doing their own thing, and finding the people who want to be found, right?
Yeah.
I love that concept, and I love them not pulling these people from their families or their lives that could already be good for, a fight maybe they don't want to fight. I want to see Cal maybe not get an apprentice, but I do want to see his development in the Force. I feel, based off, obviously it's a video game and stuff like that, but I felt his maneuvering with a lightsaber was pretty, like, on par. Like, he was good as it was. Like, he didn't need his development or his connection with the Force physically. I felt I want more development from him. I want to see the power, because based off the last 3 movies that we got from Star Wars, suddenly the Force scales are way above anything we've ever seen before. And even in Visions. So I really want to see more Force development, like raw Force power, I would say. And then Cal bringing on someone who he pretty much was in their shoes at one point, and how he develops that young Jedi potentially. So the development of a potential Padawan, I don't know if he'll call them Padawan because he won't. I don't see Cal giving himself the rank of master, but I see him wanting to train someone to essentially, rebuild what he had lost before. So Force development and a Padawan. That's why I want to say top 2.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. And it's a tough story to tell because he's not involved in any of the original trilogy or the sequels. So it's a tough story. You don't know how it's going to end, which I think is cool.
It's tough, but also in the same regard, Star Wars is opening our eyes to so many things. Like you see in The Mandalorian with Ahsoka and Grogu.
I mean, she's just been chilling.
And we didn't see her. Obviously, you say didn't see her in 4, 5, and 6. Obviously,
of course not.
The concept, but. They can ride that wave of essentially, maybe he's just chilling out too. Maybe he's considered a failure just like Luke. Maybe he gets that Padawan and they fail, they get killed. Something crazy. If there's another heartbreak in Fallen Order 2 that makes you feel the way you did when like Order 66 happens, it would be an unreal sequel precedence to another great game. So another cool one would be if they get a known face in there.
I think they will start introducing, because I think they have to start tying it. Like I appreciate what they did, kind of like Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah.
Like season 1, they did all new
Established
characters.
the baseline.
And then the next season, they're like, all right, now they're in. They're coming in.
And that's another thing too. Just a small branch from Mandalorian. They didn't. Obviously, they threw you the huge one at the end. But getting Ahsoka, that was the fan appeal I wanted, because it wasn't, someone super obvious. Like obviously there were fan. Speculation and stuff like that, whatever. But when I saw her, I was like, nailed it, and she's exactly who I wanted her to be.
I'm not a Jedi, I'm not a Sith, whatever. I just do what's right. Exactly. Yeah. So, which we kind of can talk about a little later with Visions, but we'll get to that of course. At some point. But you just got back from Galaxy's Edge, so I want to hear about that, but don't spoil the fun,
of course,
because I want to see some things, because I've had, I don't know how many, 5 people on the podcast that have already been there.
So for anyone listening, total dick of the year goes to me, being that I'm texting Mark thinking that he's been to Galaxy's Edge. I'm like, dude, what should I look for? And he's giving me honest answers. He's like, oh, well, I think you should do this, yada yada. And I'm getting it's almost like a pulled punch reaction from Mark. I'm like, what? He's like, well, I've never been. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Troy's the one who's gone. I'm like, oh. I'll text Troy. Sorry. I felt like I just spoiled a surprise. It was terrible. But Galaxy's Edge for me was super cool. Linda and I went. And
shout out Linda.
Yep. Shout out fiance. Bless up. But so it's super cool because Linda's not big on Star Wars. She gets involved for me. She gives her best effort, and she's actually pretty intrigued right now. She has to still watch episode 3, which I'm super pumped about. And she's pumped to watch it too. We just haven't had a good chance. We don't want to rush it. She doesn't. We tried to watch it once. It got cut off. She's like, I just want to restart it, just so I get the full effect again. She obviously knows what kind of happens. She watched part of The Mandalorian. She obviously watched the other 5 previous episodes and whatnot. Yeah. But Linda even said, she was like, I could not have seen a single Star Wars movie, show, whatever, and this place made me want to come here. She was super involved. She was super cool. I will say, for anyone who's trying to go, I think the park opens at 9. You can get there at 8 to get online. You want to get there at 7:50. I'm telling you, and run. You don't want to be that person that runs all the way across Hollywood Studios to Galaxy Edge. Do it, because the ride is phenomenal. And I think I walked, or I waited.
Which ride? The Resistance ride?
Yes. I'm sorry. The Rise of the Resistance is a phenomenal ride, and I was scared because I thought it was all hype. I thought it was going to be a good ride, but you hear,
people.
How good is it going to be? It's not a roller coaster; it's an interactive type thing, and I'm just like, is it going to be that cheesy, we've got you, yada yada, whatever? Men in Black. So I was kind of worried. I knew I was going to enjoy it, but it blew my expectations out of the water. Wow. Even the sky high ones, and the line moved. So we were at the 90-minute mark when we first got there. I'd say we probably got there just under that, to the front of the line. But by the time our ride ended, there was a 3-hour wait for the people in the back of the line, and it was longer than 3 hours.
And did you do the sign up early, the
the
early
queue?
Lineup?
It's called the queue. So that's another thing they recommend you doing. You get the Disney. It's not obviously Disney Plus, but it's the Disney Park app. And that morning at 7:00, you can be put on the queue to get on the rides. It's like making a reservation at a restaurant. They don't do that starting September 20th until I think November. I went September 25th. So Linda was so good. We had gone out that night for my birthday, and we obviously had a lot of beverages, and we both woke up pretty good, obviously a little hungover, but Linda was on it. She was, boom, I got the queue, and they're like, just kidding, you can't queue it. It's like 7:30. We're like, get on the shuttle, run over there, and we actually met a couple over there that was like, we were like, hey, Rise of the Resistance. They looked at us, we're like, all right. It's like unity, and we ran together. We literally ran over there together, and we were still in the back of the line.
Wow.
There were people who actually got kicked out of Galaxy's Edge because the line formed almost like a question mark. How they snake it around, so it's not like everyone bunching up the main attractions. All that stuff over there. And there were people that were trying to like come in at the curve of the question mark, kind of, and because it was a whole big bunch.
You just couldn't tell where.
Yeah. And these one people like, I was in this line X, Y, and Z, and I'll never forget this big gentleman with goofy ears on and a goofy hat. He's like, they're lying. He's like, my kids have been here for hours. He's like, get them out of here. And then the one security guard, he literally goes, thank you, Goofy. And a party of 10 kicked him out of Galaxy's Edge.
Wow.
And he was like, obviously I can't uphold them staying out, but as long as I'm roaming around, if I see them, I'm just going to do that and kick them out.
Wow.
Because they were making a scene and just wait like everyone else, man. Like, that's it.
Wow. And, okay, so Rise of the Resistance rides.
Unreal.
Yeah. Did you get to go to the cantina?
We did go to the cantina. I will say that was the last on the list because, like I said, we were.
You only had one day there, right?
Well, yeah, no. We had Epcot the day before,
okay.
So we had one day at the park or whatever, and obviously, I wasn't gonna torture Linda as cool as she was with Galaxy's Edge. I was gonna take her to Magic Kingdom. She deserved that much. So she had said, she's like, come on, you want to go get the milk, the cantina, whatever. And like I said, I was still recovering from the night before, and I was like, milk does not sound like it right now to me. And then right before we're leaving, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it again. So we went, we got it, and of course it had to be alcoholic, a little hair of the dog there. But
milk was a bad choice.
Milk, it was everything that I was scared of happened, but I got the experience.
That's the most important part.
The cantina, and we went to obviously the one with the Millennium Falcon.
The ride.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
The Kessel Run.
Smuggler's Run.
There it is. And that was another cool one too. It's super interactive, just because, and like I said, I'll leave a little bit up to you, but the game isn't. It's a ride based on your skill level as the crew.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can't just crash into the ground and then the game's over.
Yeah. Right.
You have to do something.
Okay.
So, and that's where a lot of people were kind of confused because obviously you're going in there with young kids and stuff like that,
yeah.
putting them at the pilot position.
Whoa.
And they're just crashing into different parsecs and stuff like that. And they're like, what happened? They're like, you lost, you died. Thank you, next crew. Like that was it.
Gosh.
They don't kick you out early, but the experience isn't the same. So that's people go in there and they want to do like twists and stuff like that and flips, which you can do. But
you need a crew. You need a good crew.
You need someone who's trying to accomplish the mission here. And I'm telling you, Kelsey, whoever my pilot was really not accomplishing the mission. I was a great gunner and engineer. Linda was also a gunner. She was doing her job, and we just were not set up for success. It was kind of it was a little ridiculous.
You should have taken him to boot camp.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Serious?
It's not the co-pilot I wanted, nor did I deserve. It was my day. She was there on my day. I digress.
That is awesome. That is a great summary without too many spoilers. I'm glad you got to go on the birthday. That's probably the best time to go.
Dude, awesome.
Did they give you any special prizes for being there on your birthday? Did they give you a pin or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. So, the one thing that was cool is they give you credits when you build your lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
So you get a pin distinguishing what saber you're trying to build,
right? And
they give you blue credits. And the one guy looked at me, he's like, "Hey, it's your birthday. You want to keep your credit?" Which is like pretty unheard of. I was like, "Yeah, I want to keep my credit." But then I guess whoever was supervising him was like, he can't keep his credit. So he threw me a different pin that wasn't my lightsaber. So so it was like the handle signification. They gave me the silver one, which is like power and whatever, stuff like that. So, and they drew attention to my birthday in the lightsaber lab, whatever it is. And, I got to do pretty much everything first. Like I set the example, like I created mine first and then everyone did theirs. And then, so, it's whatever. Kind of.
You live your childhood fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone listens to me.
That's exactly what my dad said. My dad's expecting, taking Linda to Disney and stuff like that. 24-year-old Marine, just got out of service. And he's like, so what are you doing in Disney? I was like, oh, Pop, I just built a lightsaber. And you just hear him go, Just a kid at heart, aren't you, Cole? I was like, all right,
I knew I shouldn't have taken to that movie.
Yeah, see, it's his fault. It all goes full circle. What a character.
Boom.
But yeah, super cool. And I do recommend get the Kyber crystals. Super cool.
Yeah.
Tell a story in themselves.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so your lightsaber is purple.
Correct.
And that brings me to something I've always been curious about, which is your absolute fascination with Mace Windu. Not just because the purple lightsaber, but you love his character and you know so much about his character.
Mace Windu to me is if someone in the Star Wars universe had to swear, it would be Mace Windu. Like he is the bad boy of the Jedi Order, and not the bad boy like he's rebellious and stuff like that. He does what's right. He sets the tone for the Order. He's said to be one of the better saberists of the current Jedi, obviously second to Master Yoda and whatnot. But the biggest thing that enticed me was obviously everyone knows that Samuel Jackson was like, I want a purple lightsaber. George Lucas was like, you get a purple lightsaber. The coolest thing after that was they made it canon after that, and they turned it into a saberist technique, a lightsaber duelist form. Which is Vapad, Vapad, whatever it is.
See, who would know that?
Yeah,
Cole knows that.
See, yeah. Again, like I said, don't just read it and just hear my voice. That's how it's pronounced. Don't look it up on Google. But so it's essentially obviously a blue and a red lightsaber come together. They make purple, and he's one of 4 Jedi to attempt it, and he's the only Jedi to master it. The other 3 fell to the dark side because essentially all
Revan?
it is.
Revan? Darth Revan?
Oh yes. He has
purple and red.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay. The only thing I don't know about Revan is if he started light and then fell to the Sith.
I didn't get to play the game because the gameplay is just terrible
now. Yeah.
But they're making a remake, so I'm very excited for that to play.
Hoping for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got to assume that he at least started light, fell to the dark, whatever. They didn't give us like the back. Obviously, I was only looking for Mace Windu. He was the only one that mattered at the time. But it's cool because he's the only one, and he doesn't teach anyone it either because he would be the one responsible for people falling to the Sith or falling to the dark side.
Honorable.
Yeah,
that he wouldn't.
Absolutely, people see it as arrogance that he wants to be the only one mastering and stuff like that. And you can see from his character that he's an arrogant guy, but he's also, like I said, he's arguably with his youth and Yoda's age and stuff like that, he would be coming of the strongest Jedi.
He beat Palpatine straight up. He beat Palpatine straight up.
He dogged Palpatine. We're not going to get into the fact of the mannequins he walked in with and just suddenly didn't know how to swing a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But I think it's super cool because obviously a Jedi is known not to use raw emotion and stuff like that. And the concept of Vapad is you use your emotion in times of anger to fuel your power. And then once your goal is accomplished, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy concept because it goes against everything that the Jedi are taught.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's the one who mastered it, and it's just so cool that it just came from Samuel Jackson being like, I want that. And then George Lucas made this massive story. Yeah. It's incredible. And he's, undoubtedly my overall favorite concept of a Jedi, with that fighting style. And, he's just, like I said, he's just a boss.
And that's interesting, that he could do that kind of style of, saber arts and still rise to the the second in command in the council. You know, he is touching that dark side kind of.
It's crazy.
He still gets up to that level.
Yeah, and I remember we were actually talking about, I don't know if you remember, a long time ago when I learned about this technique, and we were like, we didn't know if it was canon, and we were like, that doesn't make sense that they would essentially welcome a Sith technique because the only other person when I say one of 4 who master, I mean Jedi, Palpatine. He knew it as well. He's mastered all 7. So he's the only other person. So the fact that he's able, because obviously the Sith don't really touch on the light. It's the fact that it's like a building block and stuff like that. So the fact that Palpatine had the same technique in his back pocket, and like we said, Mace Windu just dogged him like that. It's like, it really, it's an atonement to his abilities and his skill because he's just such a raw, powerful Jedi. Yeah. And he's the one person, obviously, like I said, I wanted more out of him. Like, I'm looking for more stories out of him. Obviously, I got the background of his fighting abilities and stuff like that, but I wanted more. Like, I wanted, give me Padawan Mace Windu. Let me see what he was like. Let me see how he came to get Vapad. And there's no way that his master it was probably Yoda, was like, yeah, no, absolutely not.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
Hated it. Yeah.
So that's what I want to know. How did he master it to the point where the other Jedi just looked the other way, and then he's the only one who could use it?
Yeah, and he never had a Padawan, correct? Or did he?
To my knowledge, no.
Yeah, I don't know of anyone.
I don't think he had a consistent one. There's talks of it, and I'm not going to go down this tangent because this is totally not known to be canon, but from what I understand, he had an up-and-coming Padawan that died. So that's why he never took another one on, and that's why his spot on the council is second to Yoda, because he would be the next Grand Master to everyone. But you obviously never get that. Yeah. So again, honest answer is I don't know. That's all speculation. Should look into it, though, because that'd be a cool concept, too.
That is really cool. We've talked about it before, but yeah, I've never heard that full explanation of it, but that makes it really cool. And I kind of like that it talks about this, acceptance of the dark side, because I think that's kind of what the Jedi have kind of been pushing towards. The evolution of the Jedi is to kind of say the dark side is a part of you. You shouldn't absolutely reject it. It's just the idea of accepting it and controlling it. Instead of just saying, "Oh no, we're all light. There's no dark side even close to us." Like that's the hypocrisy. Like absolutely, we can never feel that. Yeah,
and that's why
that's cool.
You hear about like a lot of I say like big name masters and stuff like that collide with the council, like Qui-Gon, considered one of the best masters like ever and stuff like that of modern Star Wars, never put on the council because they're his radicalist views, which most people would see as like sane,
pretty basic.
They were like, no, we can't have a master like that on this council. And then obviously you've got like, people that have left the order, like when Count Dooku was a Jedi and stuff like that. He didn't agree, Qui-Gon's master. That's where Qui-Gon got that chip on his shoulder. Count Dooku left because he felt the same way.
You would really like Master and Apprentice, the book, because it literally touches on exactly what you're talking.
Dude, I need to read it.
It has flashbacks of Qui-Gon and Count Dooku, because Count Dooku is the one that got him interested in the prophecies, like Count Dooku, and that's why Count Dooku left, because he was like, yeah, no, they're not open to the galaxy. I need to leave. Qui-Gon, like when they invited him to the council, he was like shocked. He was like, you guys really want me in the council? And they're like, it's really a great read and gives a lot of backstory to what you're talking about.
I definitely need to touch on it for sure. I haven't read a good piece of Star Wars literature in a while, actually, so I'm definitely due. I need to stimulate my mind a little bit. I think I'm going mush.
You got to feel good about yourself and finish a book.
Literally.
Comics are fun because pictures.
That's exactly. I want this one. When I go to a restaurant,
there's no pictures on the menu. Okay, so we've hit on a lot of great stuff, but now let's talk about maybe the future or the current Star Wars, what we're doing right now. So we can talk about shows. Do you want to talk about Visions, or do you want to talk about upcoming shows? I like to leave it up to the dealer's choice. I know we were talking about Visions a little, so we can talk about that if you'd like, and what you were really enjoying about Visions.
So Visions, to me, I was, again, pleasantly surprised. I think we talked. I like the idea of Visions. I never really looked into it because obviously we knew it was anime, whatever. And I just wanted to go into it with a clean slate, not knowing what to expect, whatever, other than the trailers, which really made me excited to see what was going on, because I thought Visions was just going to be, just a side story, and you weren't going to get that that Jedi appeal or whatever. Which obviously that's fine. We have obviously the Book of Boba Fett and stuff like that coming out, whatever. But I wanted the Jedi centering around it, or even Sith. I want a saber somewhere. Give me a saber. Give me some shiny lights somewhere. But I thought it was really cool after watching all of them how they were their own stories, which I did not expect. I thought it was going to be like a limited series, same characters and stuff like that. So I was pleasantly surprised, and we got some episodes that touched on like the Star Wars that we knew in the prequels, and then you've got it seemed like kind of like an Old Republic-esque vibe from not one of them, but they kind of went all over the place. And I liked how a few of them gave potential to expand on the future. They could be a series in themselves. Obviously, there were ones that were cute and fun, and you're like, that could end right there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for trying.
Thanks.
And but I do like the fact that there were I'd say 3 or 4 real hits that could be expanded on.
Absolutely.
Which I hope that Star Wars sees the reaction, or Disney sees the reaction from the viewers, and they're like, oh, we should run with this.
Yeah, I think what I've seen is that they're looking to do a season 2 with these studios again. And I think the biggest takeaway for me from Visions, this is a little sneak preview because I will be doing a Visions episode, but a little sneak preview was, when I was watching Visions, it made me question what is Star Wars. Because some of those episodes, there was very limited pieces of Star Wars in them, but the story as a whole felt like Star Wars. Like, everyone's probably thinking Village Bride. Or Tatooine Rhapsody.
I was thinking Tatooine Rhapsody.
Or Tatooine Rhapsody. Either one. Both of them, they aren't inherently Star Wars.
No.
They're just little pieces that you're like, okay, yeah, we're in the Star Wars guy. Okay, Boba Fett. Okay, a lightsaber in Village.
Someone
Bride.
says Jabba. Like,
Yeah,
at one
right.
point,
Like,
yeah.
But like, what makes it Star Wars? And
Right.
that's what I'm going to talk about in my episode. But I think
that's a great
I think that was the
concept.
coolest thing that I took away from Visions, and the other coolest thing was you need to just get away from characters we know.
Right.
Like, stop making shows about characters we already know.
The comfort. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
comfort level. You know what I mean?
It's the fan service.
And I am the worst at it, dude. The concept of Star Wars without at least like 3
Yeah.
people that I've developed a relationship to, it petrifies
It's
me.
new. It's
like
new.
I don't want to grow like an attachment to these people again. Like I know someone's either gonna get lost, dead, or they're gonna cut them somewhere.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, I agree. It's totally going out of the comfort zone, and that's what's really cool. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy that they're finally doing it because all the future projects coming up, for the most part, involve notable names.
The only project that won't be familiar will be the Acolyte one about the Old Republic. But
yeah.
everything else, it's all people we know. It's it's Ahsoka, it's Obi-Wan, it's Boba Fett, it's Lando.
Yep.
It's all things we know. So I think Visions proves, I hope to everyone, that it needs to just start anew, go somewhere else.
They can't have the restriction of a plot
Yeah.
or a storyline to be followed.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you, and I think it was the one, the Elder was. I think is I like the Ninth Jedi. I think that was
Jedi was
really cool. Like I say, animated, obviously animated, but like super like jam packed with action. The concept was awesome, but the Elder was really cool because I caught vibes from the prequel trilogy. Like I said, that they resembled like a Qui-Gon and a young Obi-Wan, that like to me, but like a little bit more modern, but also not being restricted to said storyline, so they could go anywhere they want with it, which is super cool.
Well, they even said, like, when they were talking about the Elder, they're like, oh, we haven't seen a Sith in generations. The same thing in Phantom Menace. They're like, we haven't seen Sith in generations.
Exactly.
It can't be.
Yeah.
And so, it was very Phantom Menace-esque.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm hoping they just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it proves that you don't need to be in that 40-year span to be Star Wars.
Right,
You
exactly.
can be anywhere, and you can tell a great
It's a
story.
massive galaxy, massive
so
universe.
big, so big.
Massive universe. You could do anything.
Yeah, and Visions was like, yeah, you want to hear a rock band? There you go. Here's anything.
I did have to I told you, I did have to watch that one twice. Not because I didn't like it, but I was like, same thing. Didn't get the concept. You know what I mean? I watched it again. I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah,
Tatooine Rhapsody was a good time. But yes, look out. I will be releasing a whole Visions thing next week. I can't say next week. I can't put timestamps on the episode.
Nope, hold
It'll
it to
be
it.
coming
You
soon.
heard it, folks.
It'll be coming soon. Yeah, so I think we can just move to the movie rankings now.
Okay.
I know you've been dreading this portion.
I really am, dude. I was just hoping we'd just go topic after topic and we'd wake up, it's the morning. But
Sorry about it. Yeah, so are you going to be including all movies, or are you just sticking to the Skywalker saga? Are you including Rogue One and Solo?
I honestly, I'll just do the 9. But I will say Rogue One is an honorable mention. It's a top tier movie.
It's great, yeah.
Solo literally could have not happened, and my life would have been the exact same.
Yes.
And it had such potential too, But regardless,
okay.
Neither here nor there. All right,
starting at the bottom.
Yep, I'll start at the bottom. I'm gonna go 7. So I'm gonna go
Force Awakens.
Yep,
the shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah, Force Awakens.
Appreciate
it. Yep, you got it, bro.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, and that's a tough one because I know I'm definitely the minority there, but it's just, to me, it was cookie cutter A New Hope, and it would have been better if it had the result of what A New Hope started. But to me, it was the fuse to a very terrible stick of dynamite that was the last trilogy of a fan appeal bunch of movies. But like stuff we talked on. All right, and then I guess after that, all right, I'm gonna go Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
As above that, whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'll do Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
No elaboration needed for the Attack of the Clones. You just said 8. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attack of the Clones was cool, but it's just the Dawson's Creek vibe I got from it, the love story, and like, I hate what they do to, and it's not Hayden Christensen's fault.
No.
The character is terrible. We love Hayden Christensen. Anyone that doesn't like Hayden Christensen, grow up. Like, it's not his fault. I will die on that cross. But so.
Okay, so 7, Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
Yep. And then, oh man. Wait, so no, it was 7.
It was 7.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Rise of
Skywalker at
Yep.
7.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry.
At 7.
As he said.
The episode numbers just do not help.
Yeah. And then
6th spot.
Yeah. 6th spot. I'd probably go. Oh man, I might have to go Phantom Menace.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. This is tough. Actually, no, absolutely not.
Okay, backing out.
I'm backing out 100%. I'm gonna do The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I'm gonna do The Last Jedi at that spot, and it's tough, obviously, because I'm gonna say my top 6 is gonna be, pretty. I'd probably say my top 3 is pretty, like, again, cookie cutter to most other people. Like, I'm not gonna be that different.
They're objectively great movies.
Yeah. So as it goes, whatever. But I just, it's tough to really separate the nostalgia of like what came first and then what really is just a good movie. Mm-hmm. And to me, if I had to, I would put the last 3 that came out. If you want to take away all the fan appeal and stuff like that, you could put them at the bottom, but I think they should be spaced out.
Okay.
So what was that? That was our 6th spot. We said The Last Jedi, right?
That was 6. Yep.
Okay. So 5. 5. I'd put.
Seems like you would have put Phantom Menace at 5.
Yeah,
seems like you
Phantom Menace at 5. Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate the audible. Phantom Menace at 5, and then Phantom Menace at 5. So what? We got our 4. So I got like
the classic 4.
Classic 4. Yeah,
classic
easy day.
4.
There we go. I would do. Oh, this is tough. I can't put Empire at 4. I'm gonna do. Well, I'm at 5 right now, right? The 5 spot.
4. You got
4
the
spot?
original
Okay.
trilogy. And
so I'm gonna put 4 at 4.
4 at 4.
I'm gonna put 4 at 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Empire.
Okay.
To follow.
Yeah.
And then Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Revenge of the Sith.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi are definitely interchangeable. Mm-hmm. But all plot lines aside, they both have a phenomenal ending. Obviously, one severely happy, one terribly sad.
Yeah.
But the dual fates, duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin are just, it's incredible. Yeah. It's honestly like I could watch it nonstop on repeat, fall asleep to it, wake up to it, and then watch it again.
Oh, look what's on. Yeah.
It's awesome, and that's a very thrown together. I think top 9 or overall 9.
It's kind of fun to watch people struggle with it.
It really is, and again, a preface. Me and Mark decided that we were going to do this, days in advance. So I had plenty of time to prepare.
Oh, he could have absolutely.
I could have absolutely pulled out a notebook and been like, boom, 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 and the reasons with it. But I think I was just dreading it so much. Honestly, I truly just did not want to do it. And you could ask me tomorrow, and that bottom 6 would change. That bottom 6 would totally change. I really think I'm a day-to-day guy, honestly. And also, too, who knows? I'll read a comic somewhere, and then I'll be like, you know what? Throw The Last Jedi up at 4. Like, definitely not that abrupt, but and the sequel trilogy, it gets such a bad rep, but it was set up for failure off the rip.
Yeah.
It was 3 different directors and 3 different writers.
Planned. They said it wasn't planned. They said they were just ripping it,
which is just it's so terrible because I think it was the most anticipated movie sequence like in the last 40 years. Like,
oh, absolutely,
something stupid.
Yeah. I mean, Avengers came close, but Avengers only had the opportunity because Star Wars wasn't
right
after Last Jedi. Active. It wasn't as popping as it could have been. I mean, if Force Awakens and then Last Jedi were like out of this world, I think Infinity War and Endgame don't do as well.
Oh, I agree.
If Star, because I think it came out the same year. Rise of Skywalker and Endgame came out the same year, and Game of Thrones season 8. And 2 of those 3 banger endings were not bangers. 2 of those endings were not bangers.
Oh, dude. And I'm just like, I'm not going to go back and obviously like change my list. The podcast will go on forever. But I'm thinking of like all the movies and I'm like, yeah, that could be changed. That could go up. That could go down. And I'm thinking, for whatever reason, shout out for Stephen Rocco. Because I remember his favorite was number 2, right?
He really liked Attack of the Clones.
And I remember having the same conversation with him, and he was like, Cole, you didn't like 2? And I'm just like, I want to like 2 so bad. Like, the concept is so there. But I just didn't like the direction they went in. And obviously, a huge group of Jedi just fighting droids and stuff like that would be phenomenal.
Great. Yeah.
Also, part of the reason why Samuel L. Jackson wanted a purple lightsaber, so he could stand out amongst that crowd of blue and green people.
That's a smart man.
Yeah, he was like, I want purple, so you know where I'm at the entire time.
That's a smart man.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring this up at the time, but Visions, the Ninth Jedi, they talk about lightsaber colors.
Yes.
And they show that purple is that mixture because that one guy's like red and then he kind of turns back to the light side and it turns purple.
Yep.
And he's like, I knew your heart wasn't in it. And I was like, yes, they're talking about lightsaber colors.
And dude,
beautiful.
I'm so glad you brought that up, dude, because the purpose of lightsaber colors and, like I said, the fighting techniques, because he was red, right? His emotions got the best of him, and he was going. The job was clearly done, and then he comes back to Zen, and he's purple. So the concept, I really want to see more of it. If there's one thing that I want to take away from all Star Wars coming up, like series and stuff like that aside, I want more development on the dark and the light. And like you said, how the light is always just like, get away, don't talk to it, and then the dark is like the big bully, like older brother. I want more development on how they clash together. Yeah. I mean, more of a fluency between the two as opposed to a drastic left or right. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely like the gray zone. Like they need, like, I think that's why I like Last Jedi a lot, because they touch on that gray zone a lot with Luke. And yeah, I would love to hear more about the colors, because I know they've talked about them before. Yeah. Fallen Order, I mean, they had all those colors, and that game's canon. Yeah. So like they have all those colors.
That's badass, yes.
Yeah, and then Rey, she has the is it yellow? Is it yellow or orange? It's almost like a yellow orange. Yeah, it's a Crayola yellow orange.
Yeah, I'm sure if we go find a pack of crayons, we'll be able to find exactly what color it is. Yeah, but yeah, you could go on that forever, and I think like I want more of. If you had to say three, obviously purple, white, and we'll say yellow, gold. Whatever
Ahsoka, with white, yeah.
And it's people see it and they're just like. People make their own assumptions of it. It's like, oh yeah, Ahsoka's white just because she's not red or blue. Mm-hmm. But what's the purpose? So then why isn't she yellow?
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, you can go into more detail about, but the people that just stop right there, like dig a little bit deeper, find out the difference between white and yellow specifically.
They should.
Purple's not that hard to figure out, but it's
I mean, they say the crystals are connected to the person. They say that in canon. Like that wasn't just visions. Like that is canon. They should look into that. Like why? Yeah.
How? And you saw in the Clone Wars when all those Padawans and stuff like that are going to find their crystals. Mm-hmm. The crystal calls to them, and they find the one that pertains to them specifically.
Exactly.
But it's I definitely want more development of, I guess, the administrative view of Star Wars, whatever it is. The development of lightsabers, the Force, and stuff like that. Give us more of that, and I think the characters, you'll have an easier way of segueing away from the norm that people are used to.
Absolutely, yeah. All great stuff. I have one more point that I just want to get off my chest because I was thinking about it the other day. I am just using you as a platform to talk about this because I can't make this a whole episode.
I love it.
But we did talk about Ahsoka.
Yep.
I think the Ahsoka series, no matter how excited I am for it, I think... No, I didn't. I don't think it's super. I think it is going to suffer from a medium change of the same story. So they're continuing the story from Rebels, which was in animation.
Right.
I feel that the connection and that storyline will be affected because you're changing characters' voices, medium that you're telling the story in. And I don't think a lot of people are discussing that. Like, people, I think, are very gung-ho. They're like, oh, Rosario Dawson, she's a great Ahsoka. I really liked her, but it was one episode.
She was phenomenal. Yeah, exactly.
It was one episode, and this series is going to be continuing the story of Rebels in live action, which you can't just change mediums and expect the same exact thing, which... I wish if they were going to continue the story of Rebels, it would have just been in animation again, and Ahsoka would have just gotten a different series with a whole new storyline.
Right.
But I think there might be an issue there. I can't not trust Dave Filoni. He's writing the show. I can't not trust him, but I do think that people should temper their expectations just a bit for it.
I agree, because I do think that you made a great point. The transition from the media platforms and stuff like that, that's going to be huge. Yeah. And like you said, you're going from hearing Ahsoka and seeing her one way, and now you're seeing and hearing her totally different. Obviously, she, you could tell who she is in live action.
Yes.
But there could be not even a digression, but just something that's like not clicking on all cylinders. You almost have to create a new bond with this new Ahsoka.
Exactly.
So
Sabine, Ezra, it's all different connections they have to make now.
I agree. I think they should. The show itself will be good, but you do need to, tamper down exactly like you said. What you're expecting from... No, you're not expecting a continuation from Rebels. Like, literally Rebels.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to touch on the fact that Rebels animation was terrible.
Not great.
But so the live action will help it there. But, like I said, how long was Rebels? How many seasons was Rebels?
Four seasons.
Okay, so you had 4 seasons to get used to these characters and their voices and stuff like that. Yeah. And you had one episode for one character, and now you're getting a full... It's a limited series, right?
I hope so. Yeah. I hope all the series are limited series.
I agree.
Like, I don't want long...
Yeah. The Mandalorian, I think, is a good one to...
Start.
improve upon.
Yeah.
And then, you see what happens after the second season of The Mandalorian, you get a Boba Fett series. So,
right.
it's just, I hope they stay true to it and stuff like that. But
yeah, I hope Boba Fett's a limited series. I know Obi-Wan is a limited series, which I love.
Yeah.
They keep that tight.
They keep cutting down time on Obi-Wan, though, which I don't want.
What do you mean? The episode times?
I think it was originally supposed to be, I think it started at 9.
I think it's 6 episodes now.
Yeah, it started at 9 for, I want round numbers, 53 minutes of, actual show. And then, it was an hour, 7 minutes, 3 each side, whatever. Yeah. And now it's 6, about 45. Ooh. So I'm like, where's all this content going? They just wrapped filming, so, I'm hopeful and I'm excited. And I hope in that same series, we're allegedly going to see flashbacks of the Clone Wars in live action.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm hoping it's something that we haven't seen before in the Clone Wars, so we're not comparing it to the animated series, and you're either disappointed or you look at Clone Wars differently.
Right. I think there's a lot of potential. You think we see Rosario Dawson?
Oh, 100%. Okay. I say Rosario Dawson is definitely in the Kenobi series.
Okay. I think that's a good call too.
Yeah. Now, does she show up live action Kenobi?
No, I don't think it'll be flashback. Yeah. I think it'll be flashback.
That'd be wild though.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And even Ewan said, he said everyone's going to be very surprised at how good this is. But
Hayden Christensen was so excited to get back in the series.
I'm happy for him. He's getting his love. Yeah. He literally lost his career after those movies.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Well, Cole, I think we just gave people 50 minutes of pure Star Wars content. Absolute bangers, minute after minute. It has been excellent. Would you believe that we just went for 50 minutes?
No, not even close, actually. I looked at my drink and it was empty. I was about to pour another one and keep going.
No.
Just turn off the mic, we'll keep going.
Yeah, we could go 3 hours Joe Rogan, but I gotta keep it light for everyone.
Of course.
Yes, and digestible, but thank you so much, Cole, for coming on.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Long time in the making, for sure.
This has been a long time in the making, absolutely. But if there's anything else you wanted to get off your chest or say to the people, go for it now. If not, we can end it right here.
I think I'm good. Last tidbit, like I said, you get the crystals at Galaxy's Edge, get the holocron. There are different Jedi for every crystal. Get the holocron. Troy, I'm coming at you, man. You have no idea what's going on with this.
Holocron advocate right here.
And that's it.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Bye. Beauteous. Nice. Beauteous.
Solid.